Namaste, good morning, good evening. Welcome back. So today we are jumping into chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is known as Vibhuti Yoga. So this chapter is mainly trying to see us that Ishvara through his or her glories. The whole idea of this chapter is the entire universe is a manifestation of Ishvara. The entire universe is a manifestation of Ishvara. Depending upon our maturity, the way we see Ishvara differs. Last week we had that extensive discussion. In the beginning stage, we tried to see the Ishvara in a particular form, with a particular structure, in a particular manner, and we try to worship that Ishvara in a particular form like Vishnu, Shiva, etc., confined to a particular place called Vaikuntha or Kailasa, with some specific attributes, Shiva with Jata and Ganga, Krishna with flute, etc., and the yellow color robe. So that is called Eka Rupa Ishvara. That is the beginning stages of the Bhakti. We have seen that in the previous chapters. Especially in chapter 9, we saw that 3 levels of Bhakti, how the Bhakti get evolved. And when we mature, what we see is that God is not just confined to a particular form. Every form in the universe is Ishvara's manifestation.
Every form in the universe is
The sun is Ishvara, the moon is Ishvara, the water is
the
Ishvara,
sun is Ishvara, the moon is Ishvara, the water is
the earth is Ishvara. Everywhere you see that Ishvara. And this is called the Vibhuti Darshanam. So you can see that Ishvara in every aspect of the universe. The entire universe is a manifestation of the Ishvara. And that final stage of the evolution, we see Ishvara beyond these names and forms as Arupa Ishvara. So the 3 stages of evolution we discussed extensively in the previous class, especially in the chapter 9, was Ekarupa Ishvara. That Bhakti will evolve into Vishwarupa Ishvara, and then you evolve into Arupa Ishvara. So in this chapter, we are trained, Krishna trains us to see himself, Krishna, in every aspects of the universe. You don't need to go to any places to see me. I can be seen everywhere else. Everything in this universe is a manifestation of Ishvara, but in certain areas, it is very easy to identify that Ishvara. Wherever you see something splendid, wherever you see something extraordinary, it is very easy to recognize the presence of Ishvara. Other objects also Ishvara is there, but it is not easy for us to relate to. So just because of that, in this chapter, the glories of the universe is identified as the glories of Ishvara. As I said, like the sun as the ultimate power source, water is the most invaluable chemical in the earth. And the earth, everything is a manifestation of this Ishvara. So this chapter helps us to recognize Ishvara through these various aspects of the universe. And we recognize that even our own glories, the skills we have, like some of us have skills in writing poetry, some of us have skills in playing games, some of us can paint pictures, some of them are good at work. All these glories, in fact, comes from Ishvara's glory. So understanding this Vibhuti will help us to understand there is no need to have any pride or any jealousy. If somebody is shining well, it is because that Ishvara's glory, it's not him. Or if I am shining well, it is again because of the glory. So it helps me to control my pride and jealousy and everything and develop an attitude of humility. And once again, this chapter, every glory is described in this chapter. You see a lot of repetition, kind of repetition here, like he say that among rivers I am Ganga, among mountains I am Himalaya. All these things seems to be repetition, but each one of them are potential objects of meditation. So this is very good for Upasana, and that is why this idea is introduced. So this is a very high level summary of chapter 10. And now we can enter into the actual verses. So the key topics of this chapter, Shlokas 1 to 3 is introduction and just highlighting the glory of the knowledge. And that is what we are going to see today. And Shlokas 4 to 7, again, Ishvara's glory is explained in brief. And the benefit of this knowledge is also explained in 4 shlokas. And then Krishna talks about the Virat devotees. What is Virat devotees? The devotees who sees Ishvara in Virat, in the universe. That is the Virat devotees. So the Vishwarupa, the devotees. So that devotees, meaning Krishna talk about that devotees, and also the benefits of such devotion is highlighted. And then Arjuna is going to request to elaborate this Virat Darshana. So that then what happens? The shloka 19 to 42, Ishvara's glories are elaborated by Krishna. So this is a relatively easy chapter. And actually we can go very quickly. We can cover a lot of shlokas once we get into the Vibhuti part. So today what we are going to do is we are going to see the first section, introduction and glory of this knowledge. So let's listen to the shloka 1 and try to understand the meaning.
अथ दशमोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया.
Sri Bhagavan Uvaja. Usually you see there are 2 ways of starting a chapter. Usually there will be a question from Arjuna and then Bhagavan answers. But in this chapter, Bhagavan himself was inspired. So without Arjuna asking a question, he started answering. He said, O mighty armed Arjuna. So he calls Arjuna as Mahabahu. Bahu means strong, meaning the one who has strength in arms. Mighty armed. O mighty armed Arjuna, or the courageous Arjuna, or the strong Arjuna. So Arjuna was addressed. And then he say, Bhuyaha. The word Bhuya means once again. I am going to repeat. He just put a word. I'm going to repeat what I talked to you earlier. Bhuya evaha. This, I'm going to repeat this again. Whatever, once again you listen to me. What? My supreme word. Paramam vachaha. Vachaha means word. Paramam means supreme. There is nothing more I can tell you. This is the ultimate knowledge I can give you. I already talked to you about that knowledge in chapter 7 and chapter 9. Now you listen to me that one more time. So, O mighty armed Arjuna, once again you listen to me. What? That my word, the supreme knowledge, and which I am going to impart to you out of love. Yatteham priyamanaya. Arjuna is addressed out of love. Priyam means love here. Out of love, I am going to repeat this once again. Priyamanaya. And why I am repeating this? For your well-being. Hita kamyaya. Because I wish your welfare. I wish the entire humanity's welfare. And that is going to Hita karaya. So it is going to what Hita kamyaya. So kamya means happiness. Hita means well-being. So it is going to make you happy and it is going to bring you benefits. So I am once again paraphrasing, O mighty armed Arjuna, once again listen to my supreme knowledge, what I am going to talk, which I am going to impact you, which I am going to repeat because out of love for you. And why I am repeating this? Because it is going to lead you to happiness and ultimate well-being. This is the literal meaning of the shloka. Let's listen to shloka one more time and we will just go and explain a few more topic on that shloka. So one more time, let us listen.
अथ दशमोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया.
Okay, so let's deep dive into a few topics covered in the mentioned in the shloka. So, first point in Shankaracharya's commentary, first thing he tells is no question from Arjuna, but Krishna volunteers to explain more about Ishvara Swarupam. Why? Krishna values seeing Arjuna's enthusiasm when he was asking all these difficult questions. In chapter 7, chapter 8, we saw Arjuna asking good questions. Even chapter 6, we saw. He said, actually, it's very, what you said is very good, but it is practically difficult to control the mind. 7th chapter, he asked some good questions. So, since when you see that engagement from a student, Shankaracharya tells it motivates the teacher, isn't it? Even when you go and teach somebody, if you see the whole class is very dull, you don't feel like teaching. Right? So when the natural motivation of a teacher comes, when you see an interesting and dedicated student, this is a universal principle. When Krishna saw that enthusiasm and interest in Arjuna, see, the Arjuna had transformed a lot, because in chapter 1, the end of chapter 1, you see the breakdown Arjuna, right? He said like, Shoka samvikna manasa. That was the state. And then in the 2nd chapter beginning, Arjuna was introduced to what? Kripaya vishtam, tam tatha kripaya vishtam, vishidantamidam, right? Ashrupurna kulekshana. So, tam tata kripaya vishtam, ashrupurna kulekshanam, vishidantamidam vakyam uvacha Madhusudana. First time when Krishna was about to talk to Arjuna, Arjuna's state was kripaya vishtam. He was emotions were, he made an emotional breakdown. That is what is kripaya vishtam. Emotions are fantastic as long as it is at the appropriate level. But when that emotion goes beyond certain level, beyond a threshold, what happens? The same emotions that can motivate you, the same emotions that can help you to drive and do things, that itself can pull you down. This is true for stress also. Little bit of stress is good. Once that stress goes beyond that break-even point, what happens? You will break down. That is the whole logic. Arjuna was emotionally break down, and what was his eyes were shown, Ashrupurna. The eyes were full of tears. And then what? Akula ikshana. Ikshana means eyes, akula. You see the anxiety in the eyes. The way Vyasa painted that picture was brilliant. Tam tata kripaya vishtam, Ashrupurna akula ikshanam, Vishidandam. He was completely down with sorrow. So that Arjuna started asking brilliant questions. He said like, it is very difficult to control the mind. How do you control the mind? Such beautiful questions he started asking. So that inspired Krishna also. So Krishna considered Arjuna as a dedicated dear student. Priyamanaya, that is the word he uses. And then what happens? Shankaracharya tells, it's a universal principle that good students inspire the gurus or teachers, and then they will teach more creatively with more enthusiasm. And one example he tells is in the Katha Upanishad, when Yamadharma Raja sees the enthusiasm of this kid Nachiketas, he prays to God that, oh God, there should be more students like this Nachiketa. So that is a brilliant explanation by Shankaracharya. So that one word, he explains a lot. So this is that first aspect. So let's go to the next point. So the next point is, Krishna tells, my words, he says, my words is Paramam Vacha. Supreme words or the ultimate word. Every other knowledge has some benefit. Let's say that if I learn artificial intelligence, it definitely benefits me. If I learn cybersecurity, it will definitely helps me. If I say a particular law, it will help me at certain degree. But if there is a knowledge that can help me to transcend all fear of my life. Imagine there is a knowledge which can help me to transcend even the fear of death. That is the most ultimate knowledge. And that is why this is known as most supreme law, and that is the nature of the God. That is what Krishna is explaining. So it's like, let's say that you are in a dream. In that dream, you are suffering with a lot of financial struggles, family struggles, social struggles, health struggles and everything. And you try to seek a lot of remedy. You try to get some dream hospital. You try to go to a dream counselor. What is that? All that is valuable, right? So if you go to a dream hospital, definitely in that dream space, you feel better with the medication. But is that going to remove all the fear? The ultimate knowledge for that person in the dream is an indication that this is only a temporary stage for you. Your existence will not come to an end when the dream comes to an end. Your existence will continue beyond the dream, and your existence is beyond the dream. So that knowledge is the ultimate knowledge. So like that, when we are sitting here in this time and space, the money is fantastic, the AI knowledge is fantastic, or the cybersecurity law is good, or the any other body of knowledge is excellent. But the scope of that knowledge or the benefit of that knowledge is particularly confined to this time and space. It is useful. If I have $1 billion, it can be useful only as long as I live. When I die, I cannot take that money away. The health is valuable as long as I live here. That doesn't mean that it is not valuable. You need to live. So you need health, you need money, you need the AI, you need the cybersecurity. Everything is valid. But that is not the ultimate knowledge. The ultimate knowledge is my true identity. That is why that word is used, paramam vacha. See, this is how the traditional commentators comment, right? So you need to understand, right? You need to unpack and double click each word of the shloka. This is how Shankaracharya teaches. And even in the modern day, no teachers can get in par with his style of teaching. So that's the first part. Then he tells what? Priyamanaya. Oh, dear one. Why? He already explained in the previous, meaning I already explained. Because you see that enthusiasm, you see that interest. And Arjuna was such a student, he could inspire a teacher like Krishna. And if you don't inspire a teacher, you will not get the best out of that teacher. So as students, we need to inspire the teachers. Even that is true for the secular knowledge. Then, why the Krishna is teaching? It is Hita Kamyaya. Krishna is not teaching for himself. By teaching Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, or through Arjuna, the entire humanity, Krishna is not going to gain anything new. Any doubt? Go back to 3rd chapter. 3rd chapter, Krishna makes a sentence, right? Nahi partha astu kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinjana. I have nothing to gain in this entire universe. And why am I working? It is for Bahujana Hitaya, Loka Sangraha. It is the welfare of the humanity. It is for the welfare of the entire universe. I am acting. There is nothing I need to gain, right? There is absolutely no hidden agenda. This is what makes Krishna very different from the modern day teachers. A lot of times, you see, even the spiritual teachers, you need to be 10 times careful. They come up with their own agenda. Here, absolutely no agenda. Krishna is teaching only for our benefit. That is another point. He highlighted. It is your hita, your benefit. Okay. So power of repeat. Then one more point is Krishna tells, I am repeating. He admits, Bhuyaha. So we need to understand that in conventional teaching, repetition is not considered as a good thing. Even in Sanskrit grammar, if you repeat multiple times, it is not considered as a good writing. In fact, if you really look at a particular body of literature we have called Sutra, they are not supposed to repeat. But when you come to Bhagavad Gita, when you come to such books, you see the same idea is repeated many times. Because this is not something like who discovered radio. You all know, Marconi, right? Who went to moon first? Or who went to space first? Yuri Gagarin. Who stepped into moon? Neil Armstrong. We don't need to repeat that many times. Once you know, there is second times you don't need to gain anything. But spiritual teachings, I don't have to go any further. I know that some of you might be studying the Gita or at least reading the Gita for the second time. Right? I'll tell you my own example. When we were writing the book, the first step into Bhagavad Gita, now the second chapter, I had studied at least 3 or 4 times this book. I thought, okay, last time when I did the class, second chapter, I thought I understood it. But when I was preparing for this book, I just realized what? My previous understanding was not complete. I feel that now I got it, but I'm pretty sure if I go back and reread again, I feel that, okay, I was wrong last time. I got something else. That is the nature of this teaching. You will not completely understand it. It is impossible. So our teacher, beloved teacher, Pujya Swami Dayananda used to tell, the interesting thing about Bhagavad Gita or Upanishad is how much you understand, what you understand, even if it is the best teacher in the world, how much you understand depend upon how much you already know. You're building on top of it. So first time, your baseline was 1. So it improved to 2. And when you study again, your baseline was 2, it became 3. So even if you listen to the same thing, you see that new things gets unfolded in this teaching. That's why the masters allows an exception. Even though it is not a good practice in Sanskrit grammar or the Sanskrit literature to repeat, but the nature of Brahman, the nature of the Atma, such concepts which is not an easy thing to understand, which needs multiple iterations. So that is why it is said that you need to hear it repeatedly, you need to think about it constantly, and absorb it and leave it. Swami Vivekananda made a beautiful statement about this. I just quoted that. He said, hear day and night that you are Atman. Hear day and night until it enters into your vein, flesh and bone. Then till then you need to repeatedly listen and study. So if you studied Gita, nothing will happen. That's why one famous story, Swami Vivekananda, Chinmayananda was asked by a student. He said, I have gone through Gita 18 times, nothing has happened. And Swamiji replied, has Gita gone through you at least once? That is the difference. So you may need to repeat. So that is why the Lord repeats the teachings, declares and proclaims his divine glory until it becomes a conviction. It becomes clearer in our mind. So this is very important. Again, I'm pleasantly surprised to see Shankaracharya explaining. This is nothing mine, right? So this is Shankaracharya's explanation. He gives an explanation why that word repeat came. Look at the clarity of the teacher, the brilliance of the teacher. This is why he is considered as one of the greatest teachers. The glory of Shankaracharya is not because he just all the miracles he has done, as they say, but the glory of the Shankaracharya is this. This is the glory of Shankaracharya. Great masters. Okay, so that is shloka number 1. Let's continue.
न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः.
So he says, Name viduhu. Nobody knows me in my entirety or my origin or my glories completely. He say, Name vidu. Vid means know. Even the word Veda comes from the root vid. It means to know. So he tells, Name vidu suragana. Sura means devas, the exalted being. Even the exalted beings. Gana means set. Set. Any devas, they don't. Prabhavam na maharshayaha. Prabhavam means my origin or my glories. So neither devas nor maharishayaha. Rishayaha means sages. Maharishayaha means the great sages like Vishwamitra or Vasishta or that type of sages. Even they don't know my origin. Then he say what? Because why? Why they don't know? Because they are also self-realized masters. Like a Vyasa is a self-realized master. And some of the Devas also, they know all these things. Why they don't know my origin or the Ishvara's origin? So here Krishna is not talking as Mr. Krishna. He is talking about as the Ishvara of the universe. So this is where you see, if you go to a Dvaita book, they will say that nobody knows Krishna's origin. It is not Krishna's origin. It is Ishvara's origin. Krishna himself clarifies that earlier, right? So, or even later. So just be aware of these type of misinterpretations and confusions. So neither the Devas nor the great sages knows my origin, because I am the Adir. Aham Adir. Adi means I am the primordial source. The effect, I am the causeless cause, uncaused cause, like Swami Chinmayananda used to say, uncaused cause of both Deva and Maharshis. Ahamadirpi Devana Maharshinam cha sarvashaha. Not just Devas and Maharshis, in every respect. So they don't understand me because what? I originated before them. Vyasa has a date of birth. Indra has a date of birth. Prahlada has a date of birth. All the self-realized Shankaracharya has a date of birth. So they cannot understand me, who was always there much before them. So it's impossible for anybody to understand my nature in its entirety. That's a beautiful example. Like a Ganges water in Rishikesh cannot find the origin of the Ganga, which is obviously it came down, but a person sitting in Rishikesh, he don't know the origins of the Ganga, because you cannot go up. You cannot go back in time. So I am there always. Everything emerges out of me. So that's the whole idea. In other words, what Krishna is saying is that Ishvara is the fundamental source of everything. Everything in this universe emerges from that Ishvara. And nothing, I can get a view of the Ishvara, but I cannot understand the Ishvara in its entirety. As long as you sit in this time and space, you cannot understand something which is beyond the time and space. Nothing in the dream world can understand the scope of what is happening outside of the dream world. The reason is, again, last week we discussed this. These are two orders of reality. One is transcendental, the other one is immanent. So the immanent, it is impossible for the immanent to understand the transcendent completely. And that is why it is called transcendent. It is outside of its direct perception. It is outside of their direct inference. And it is outside of any means of knowledge they have. That is why. So let's listen. So only Ishvara knows his or her full glory, Prabhavam, or the origin. Others, devas and sages are finite and born later. And they are unable to comprehend the infinite. Ishvara is the origin, that is why it is known as Adi of devas, including Brahmaji. Right? Ishvara is both the Nimitta Karana, the intelligent cause, and Upadana Karana. So it is impossible for me to understand the Nimitta, the material cause, and the intelligent cause. And he manifests all in creation, and it is impossible for anybody to understand the glory of Ishvara in its entirety. So to illustrate this, there is a beautiful story in the Kena Upanishads. So most of you might have read this Amarchitragada, Tale of Upanishads. I read this when I was a kid. That's why this was nostalgic to me. So there is a beautiful story that Devas and Asuras had a battle. And in that battle, Devas win. And they became very proud. Agni said, it is because of my glory I defeated a lot of people. Vayu was proud. Everybody was so proud. And suddenly they saw like a yaksha standing there. So they said, who is this person? So they sent Vayu to ask, who is this yaksha? And yaksha said, I'm yaksha. Who are you? Yaksha asked. Vayu was surprised. Don't you know me? I am Vayu. I can blow down anything in this universe. Then he said he just showed a blade of grass and asked Vayu, can you just lift it? Vayu tried all his might, and it was impossible for Vayu to even lift a blade of grass. That was like a big blow to Vayu Devata's pride. Then Agni came. That is what you see in this picture. So Agni was asked to burn this blade of grass. Agni tried all his energy, everything he has under his possession, and it was failed. So, and then Indra came there. Indra also was humiliated because they didn't understand who it was. And finally, Indra recognized what? His inevitability. Need for a guru. So he sat there and prayed. At that time, Uma Devi, goddess Mother Parvati, came there and taught Indra about the glory of the Lord. So that is how that story from Kena Upanishad. This is just to illustrate that neither the Devas nor anybody, even the greatest powerful man in the world, they need to understand that their glory comes because of Ishvara. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, like, the value of the 10, if that one is not there, it is a zero. So Ishvara is that one, and without Ishvara, we are just zeros. That's it. So this is just an illustration. So that's what Krishna is repeating in a different term. It is impossible for people to understand me. And it is very rarely people understand that the glories they exhibit in the day-to-day life is my glory. So that's essentially the meaning of that shloka. So let's go to the final shloka for today. Third shloka. This will complete the first topic. So let's play.
यो मामजमनादिञ्च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढसमर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते.
So he tells yo me veti, whoever knows me as yo me veti mam, janmam adi. So first thing is that he tells who is ajam. So ajam means not born. Mam ajam anadi. So whoever understands me as birthless, ajam. And then anadi. Anadi means without beginning. See, these are similar words. Birth without beginning. It's a continuum. It is never ever was created and it will always be there. So that is whoever understand me as birthless and without a beginning, and sarva loka maheshwaram. Veti loka maheshwaram. Loka maheshwaram means the supreme lord of the entire universe. The entire universe functions because of my laws. In other words, all the universe laws are nothing but me. My order prevails. What exactly the scientists do? What exactly we do? We just discover the law and we try to align with that law. And you say, when you say, meaning we can fly. How do you fly? The aeroplane is created with an intelligence, which is the intelligence of the Ishvara. And the fuel is nothing but, again, a natural resource, a resource given to us by Ishvara. Every energy source is an Ishvara's energy source. If that Ishvara's energy source is not there, if sun is not there, it's gone. In a second, Ishvara's law violates. That is the end of the universe. You know that. Right? See, how many million years this earth is rotating and moving around the sun? Nothing happened. Every law, it happens beautifully. It governed properly. And it is being followed properly. So that is why Sarva Loka Maheshwara. So the person who knows me like that, he say Asammudha, the person who knows, the person who is free from the delusion. This is an interesting word used. Mudha means food. Sammudha means special foods. Asammudha means the person who do not have that type of delusions. So the person who can see clearly. Martyeshu, so among human beings, who can see this very clearly, what happens? He will be liberated from sarva papai pramuchyati. He will be liberated from all sins. When you say all sins means the person who knows me in entirety, he will be freed from the bonds of karma because he will be Jivan Mukta. So if you are a Jivan Mukta, there is no more bondage of karma. So the person who understands Ishvara as Anadi, meaning the beginningless, and also if he knows Ishvara without birth, and the one who knows Ishvara sees that Ishvara as Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, is the entire governing factor or controlling factor of the universe, that person will be freed from all troubles and all sins. And sins means it is the bondage of karma. Don't think that this is the permanent sin or the original sin or anything like that. This is not. This is just talking about the bondage of karma. So that he will be freed from the bondage of karma, and eventually he will attain self-realization. That is this sloka. So that completes the introduction of this chapter 9. So if you recap the introduction, Krishna was very much impressed with Arjuna's enthusiasm and engagement. So he said to Arjuna, I'm seeing your interest. I wanted to repeat the glory of my teaching, the nature of mind, Jagat Karanam Ishvara, that topic, because that is going to, for your own benefit and your own welfare. So I'm going to teach it, even though it is a repetition. And then he tells, like, nobody in the universe knows these teachings because I am much beyond everybody. My origin was much beyond, even before the Devas and like Maharshis. And if you understand this nature, if you understand me as the beginningless, birthless Ishvara, you will also be realized this truth, and you will be freed from all the bondage of karma. That is what the essence of what we covered. So we can pause here and we can have any Q&A or any thoughts anybody wants to